Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. Silver is in a slump. Let's explore. That's right. Silver has sort of been in the doldrums as of late. But when you think about it, you can look at it in a couple of different ways. But probably the best measure for the performance of silver should be compared to the other precious metals out there. And if you take away palladium and rhodium, and who are outliers, who definitely are performing unusually well, those metals have, you take a look at silver, probably the best comparison we can give is with gold. Now, for more reasons than one in that particular case, because gold is important to compare it to, because both silver and gold were, and I believe still are, monetary metals. In other words, they do contain all of the attributes of money, save for both are essentially hibernating money. However, the Bank of International Settlements, which is the central bank of central banks, has labeled gold as a Tier 1 asset. In other words, when central banks hold gold in their reserves, they are recognized as the ultimate form of money. Silver doesn't have that status quo level. However, silver, in terms of as a monetary metal, throughout history has been used more widely and more often in empires and in different cultures throughout history, much longer and more frequently. Makes the most sense considering that silver is typically more abundant and has been for quite some time and been utilized as money. But obviously, back in ancient times, there were parts of the world where silver was not as readily available. And there were times when silver being utilized was valued greatly, especially in the Middle East, such as Egypt and the like. But make no mistake, now with technology and with the increasing population of the world, silver is being mined at an incredible rate. 850 million ounces on average produced annually for silver each year. And so this is something that we have to take into consideration. Are we literally swimming in silver? There's a lot of it out there. And make no mistake, despite what you may hear from other commentaries, silver will never be at a 1-to-1 ratio with gold by any stretch, by any measure. And in fact, I would dare say that the actual mining ratio of silver to gold, some estimate somewhere between 10 to 8 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold out there. But nonetheless, silver is mineable, it is recoverable, in every aspect just as much as, and if not more so, than gold. And why is that? Because silver is needed much more than gold for our everyday lives. It is an industrial metal, and in fact, the duality, the dual nature of silver is quite intriguing, and I think that is one of the reasons why silver is in a slump. You know, silver has been utilized in industrial applications, and it is shifting. And there was a time when silver was used greatly in photography. You know, for developing photographs, a lot of silver was needed. But since that technology went away, what has happened to silver? Its demand in that world has decreased, but has been greatly replaced in other applications, such as electronics and the advent of the computer age. And now we are in the mobile computer age, and a lot more silver is needed for those applications. But what's happening, especially since the mid-2000s through to today, is we're seeing much more applications and demand for silver in other areas of technology that are going to have a great impact on the demand for silver in years to come. And that is the PV, the photovoltaic industry, the solar panels, and as well silver being utilized in electronic vehicles, EVs, known as we see that technology start to be implemented more often, especially in places like China and in the East, we are going to see a greater demand for silver. What impact will that have on the price? We don't know. It's not truly been tested yet, especially when you take into account what's been going on, especially in the solar industry. You know, California is one of these states that is mandated for any new home above a certain square footage. Solar panels are going to be required for those homes. Now, what impact that will have and how many of those new homes will be constructed is another guess, because since it's going to be required at an extra cost, my guess is it's going to make that market more stagnant with that requirement. Not only that, but PV technology is still growing, and when I had solar panels installed in my home in 2015, some of those panels are starting to lose their capabilities much quicker. In fact, it was a problem with the manufacturer, so they're having to be replaced. I've got several panels that are just sitting there. In fact, I posted a video of me trying to recover the silver out of them. I can't do it. It's very difficult. You need special equipment and special adhesives, special ways to take that silver out. So those panels are just sitting there, and they are being taken back, and they will be taken back by the installer and hopefully recycled on another level. And that is a reality that will occur more and more often as these panels get replaced. And Moore's Law will take into account, which means you can do more for less. In other words, it will find ways to utilize less silver as a conductor to be able to do the same thing that it did 5-10 years ago. New solar panels are becoming much more efficient and less expensive as well, which means that could widen. But if less silver is needed, it may even out in terms of that silver demand. But nonetheless, silver is in a slump, but there is some positive news, and especially that has happened over the last several years. If you take a look at a chart of silver since about March of 2018, it is up. So in the last 2 years, we've seen it slump a bit. We've seen it actually go down. By September of 2018, silver went down to $14 an ounce. In fact, it did dip below $14 very briefly in November of 2018. But it has since made its way up and has moved up, and now we are in the $18 range, or getting close to it. And, it's been pulling back, but there's new support really at around the lower part of the $17 range. And that is good news, even though the ratio essentially is still the same and widening a bit from gold to silver. Silver is making a move upwards, but that is probably because of its industrial nature. Silver is being needed for a lot of these applications, and because of that, it will be it will tend to probably creep up in price, even if it doesn't match or narrow that ratio anytime soon. I posted a video recently where I discussed a scenario where the silver to gold ratio could narrow down to 20-1. In that video, I've mentioned and I cautioned the viewers that it's a highly unlikely case, but if gold were to get to a record high, in other words, above $2,000 an ounce, and sustained that value for long enough time, we could possibly see silver skyrocket. And by skyrocketing, I mean in terms of people shifting their focus on silver because it's a smaller market, and they have seen where the price of silver had been before, and there's room for it to grow in that direction. But regardless, I am bullish on silver in terms of its price discovery. And even if the ratio doesn't narrow down, I think in due course, because of the growing demand, and even with technologies and mining, being able to mine silver for cheaper, and being able to acquire the metal for usage, I do believe it will creep up in price, serving what it's really supposed to do, and that is preserve preserve your wealth in the long run and to meet up with inflation. It'll rise due to inflationary pressures, I believe, and so some of these dips that we've been seeing in the past may not be as low as they were once before. I believe we're now out of the realm of $14 silver, at least for the coming year or two, is my guess. I would be very surprised if we saw silver dip back into those levels again. But the other thing is do not be disheartened if we don't see silver rise at the same level that gold does for a while. In other words, we could see the ratio at 85, 88 to 1 for quite a while. But as gold goes up, I think silver will as well. But silver will be volatile, but I don't think we'll see those dips down to the $14 range anytime soon. If at all ever again, we'll find out. But very intriguing indeed. But this video, even though the title is that silver is in a slump, do not be discouraged. I believe that holding on to silver and diversifying into gold too, by the way, that is a message that I like to talk about. I like to be as realistic as possible in terms of silver for what it is, but also gold for what it is. And I believe that any silver stacker out there, it is. I think I want to encourage you to consider gold, even in small amounts, to diversify yourself, because of the nature of what gold is as the ultimate safe haven against economic instability. But don't lose heart with silver either, because it is, again, what it is and what it has always been. And if you understand the fundamentals of what silver is, you won't be disappointed when the price moves any particular direction. So I hope you found this video useful and encouraging. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude y'all for watching and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.